Hi, and welcome to my PowerPoint presentation. My name is Gutama, and today's topic that I'll be covering will be understanding anger. I would like to start by honoring the land that we are on, which has been the site of human activity since time immemorial. It is the traditional territories of the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and more recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River First Nations. Ontario is covered by 46 treaties and other agreements and is home to many Indigenous nations from across Turtle Island, including the Inuit and the Métis. These treaties and other agreements to peaceably share and care for the land and its resources. Other Indigenous nations, Europeans, and newcomers were invited into this covenant in the spirit of respect, peace, and friendship. We are all treaty people. Many of us have come here as settlers, immigrants, newcomers in this generation or generations past. We are mindful of broken covenants, and we strive to make this right with the land and with each other. I would also like to acknowledge those of us who came here forcibly and involuntarily, particularly as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. And so I honor and pay tribute to the ancestors of African origin and descent. Why does this matter during a land acknowledgement? Well, we are paying respect to a tradition that Indigenous people have been practicing for centuries. And land acknowledgement is an act of reconciliation. So for my agenda regarding this presentation, I'd like to start off by answering the question, what is anger? So you'll hopefully understand why you get angry. We will then cover what are your emotional triggers. Hopefully you'll learn how to control your anger. Then let's talk about what is the root cause of your anger. This will hopefully make sure that you'll recognize some of the warning signs. And in the end, I like to do a healing regarding your anger issues with self-care. And this will take time to care for yourself. You will take time to care for yourself. Why am I so angry? You may ask, what is anger? Anger is a normal emotion. Everyone from newborns to seniors has experienced anger. Simply put, anger is an emotion like all other emotions. Emotions are signposts into our internal structure. It's simply something we feel. Anger is a direct feeling response. There's a direct and indirect process of becoming angry. If we're referring to anger as an emotion like sadness, hurt, or joy, anger is simply a direct feeling response. Something happens, and we may react to it with feeling hurt, angry, or some other emotion. Understanding why you get angry. Anger as a secondary emotion. Many people, particularly men, are trained to accept the feeling of anger, but not to accept the feelings that may have preceded it, such as feelings of hurt, fear, or vulnerability. Sometimes when we feel hurt or vulnerable, we immediately jump to anger because that's more acceptable to us. In this context, it becomes secondary emotion. It is the feeling we can tolerate rather than such feeling as hurt or vulnerability. In other words, when we feel hurt or vulnerable, we immediately jump to anger. Anger is unhealthy. When it gets in the way of your everyday life or your relationships, example, it causing you to lose friends, the breakup of romantic relationships, or frequent arguments with family members. Anger is unhealthy when it leads to arguments at your workplace, school, when people complain to you about your anger issues, when you start to hear people around you say you have a bad temper. These are some signs that your anger is getting in your way, and therefore it's unhealthy. Anger is unhealthy. There seems to be some small amount of physical side effects with anger. There's clear evidence of increased blood pressure when you get angry. With an increase of blood pressure, there's a propensity towards stroke. So there is also a physical health component too when you get angry. You may ask, what can you do when you are feeling angry? Ask yourself, what worked in the past to calm you down? What did not work, and why? Take some time to think through all your right and wrong when getting angry. Get clear about your underlying feelings are. I can't overemphasize how important doing this step is. Remember, the pain and backlash we inflict on others while having an anger outburst or temper tantrum may make it harder for the other person to understand or forget what you said to them. If you can't process the anger through time out, try to release the anger through activity. So if you can't walk away from the situation, get your body active. It's best to do this alone because even releasing anger on an intimate object, like a boxing bag, can be seen threatening to others. Remember, the other option that is never available is hitting another person. Ask yourself, do you have something to be angry about? Sometimes people treat us poorly and don't expect us to respond. So often we want to change what other people do that initiates our anger. People often do things differently than we want. Getting angry is not going to change what other people do. It also doesn't change or improve the situation much. Being frustrated by your anger plays into being more angry. If you're struggling with being angry, recognize it and give yourself a chance to work with it. Figure out what's fueling it and how you can let go. Discussing your anger. Because anger can be such a strong emotion and feel so personal, many things were better waiting for some of the heat of the moment, for some of the to cool down before we talk about what's troubling us. More than not, however, our angry feelings are primarily due to other feelings such as feeling hurt or abandoned. We need to be willing to let others know how we feel about all feelings, not just anger. Revealing feelings can leave us feeling vulnerable, but that is a necessary part of building meaningful relationships. Keep in mind that it's okay to be angry, but you should try to understand your personal triggers. Example, heartstrings, like anger that arises from an individual, like one person is causing you to have this type of anger. Volcano triggers are when you erupt in an anger feeling, your behavior that led to the anger, or causes slash participating events. What event led you to get angry? Some causes for acting out. Remember, anger is not a weakness. Below, you'll find a list of a few causes that might be triggering your anger. It could be due to medical problems, activity or lack of activity, being confused, no other way of feeling you can communicate with people, demand and requests made and refused when someone tells you no. This leads you to have these anger outbursts. Lack of space, always feeling that people are looking around what your everyday moves are. Change and inconsistency in routine. So for example, like if you're accustomed to exercise at a certain day of the day, but then something comes up or someone calls you during that time frame, right? This can lead you to have an angry outburst. Excessive heat, cold, or discomfort, temperature can lead to an anger outburst. There's also early childhood trauma that you experience as a child, relationship problems, being provoked or bullied can cause you to get angry. Finally, self-care. In simple terms, you need to learn to take care of yourself. Move away from the external issue, which is your anger, and begin to meet your needs first from moment to moment, right? Each moment's different, so you got to learn how to handle your anger in those situations. We need to see self-care as a practice that should be part of our everyday day-to-day process living. Anger is going to be a part of your living experience, so you're going to need to navigate the world in a certain way. This proactive approach may look like caring for yourself shows that you value and respect yourself. Caring for yourself will enable you to be better able to support and care for others. It also helps you to not carrying someone else's trauma around. You can also practice mindfulness, meditation, diet, exercising, reading positive information to combat negative environments around you. Don't be afraid to seek therapy to gain support for yourself and gain new information. And this is comes to the concluding part of my presentation. So I'd like to say thank you for staying to the end of the presentation. And I hope that you take away some information from this PowerPoint presentation. Lastly, I highly recommend that you reach out for support if your anger is impacting your inability to maintain relationships, causes an apparent to complete daily tasks or activities such as participating in school or work environment. If you're experiencing these symptoms, please seek appropriate counseling or a crisis line. A great place for online counseling is to get in contact with an organization called For a Safer Space. For a Safer Space is an online mental health agency that will provide you with therapy and allow you to be a part of an appropriate social support network. So visit our website, forasaferspace.org. And thank you. Have a great day.